Hello and everybody, welcome to the channel. Today we have a super exciting video for you where we're interviewing 6 Salesforce professionals. We're going to be asking them deep and real questions. Some of these questions you probably never even thought of. We're going to be asking, what are your deepest insecurities? What was the hardest part about transitioning into tech? And then plus so much more. Now, each individual is coming from a different industry background. They're coming from different points in their life and also across the world. So I'm really excited to have this video here for you today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start the video. You ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
I'm William Gallinet. I recently just started in the Salesforce ecosystem, going through the Hiring Our Heroes program, which has been a great, terrifying, and exhilarating move I've ever made in my life. I'm from Southern Maryland, where there's nothing better than a soft shell crab sandwich. You all can fight me for it. It's amazing. And I'm with America's Warrior Partnership right now, where we're serving veterans as much as we can, trying to prevent veteran suicide in a holistic manner.
My name is Carlos Golightly. I'm currently working in the Salesforce ecosystem as an admin. I'm roughly about 3 months into my transition.
I'm Crystal. I am located in Tokyo, Japan. We are a military family and we're stationed here. We will be here for another 3 years. And I used to be a labor delivery nurse for 7 years prior to being a stay-at-home mom to 3 boys.
My name is Ben Roberts. I started working with technology about 3 years ago. Really started moving further into the Salesforce ecosystem maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And right now I'm working as a consultant for a smaller boutique firm in New Jersey.
My name is Amarilis Diaz, or Ama. I'm currently an ops admin at a mobile bike shop, and I'm located in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, currently in Castro Valley.
So my name is Tunji Afari. I'm currently an independent Salesforce consultant, and I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem for about 2 years now. And I just Googled Salesforce, and at the end of the day, I was like, this is it. This is exactly what I've always wanted. So I got stuck since then, and the journey has been great.
Well, in my old job, I was a security guard. And one day I was just sitting at the desk, and it was rampant COVID times. I was working in a hospital. There was lots of stress just being there. And with all that said, you just instantly knew, like, things are changing. And I didn't want to be there anymore, even though I was considered one of the higher people in the department. It just wasn't bringing me that joy and fulfillment that it used to. And from listening through like the Choose FI podcast previously, I briefly heard them talk about Salesforce, and looking into it, I just decided, hey, let me jump on Trailhead and figure it out.
I heard about Salesforce back in 2018 from the Choose FI podcast, but I didn't explore it. And just last year, friends and I were talking, and Salesforce came up about what a great company it was to be a part of. And so I just went down the Salesforce rabbit hole, learned everything about it, joined Facebook groups, and then I connected with another military spouse and stay-at-home mom there. And she was in the beginning of her journey, and she was just inspiring to me. And at that time, I discounted myself from the opportunity of doing Salesforce because of my life circumstances. And so I just stopped at that. But this past June, I read a book, and it is called The Feminine Mistake, Are You Giving Up Too Much by Leslie Bennett. And it is not a book about working moms versus stay-at-home moms, but rather what stay-at-home moms are giving up when we get out of the working world. And so after completing that book, I felt empowered. I felt like Salesforce is for me right now, and I will overcome the challenges that come with it. And that just kind of motivated me and had me start on the journey. I was in the right mental space to receive the information, which I think was very important. And I just needed the extra push to go on with Salesforce.
now, but just a little bit about my background and my transition prior to Salesforce. I originally worked as an operations supervisor at a distribution center for all my warehouse folks. And how that looked is I pretty much started off as a regular material handler to where I was loading trucks every day, driving forklifts and things like that, climbed up to a team lead, and then finally an operations supervisor. But the weird thing about that is I was also a Army reservist at the time. So I was kind of wearing two hats, to where I was full-time supervisor, part-time Army reservist, just drilling 1 weekend a month. And about a year into my journey as a supervisor, I was told that we were going overseas. So got deployed overseas, and that's where I got introduced to Salesforce. I worked with a lot of federal contractors out there overseas, and my roommate, who was actually still in school full-time, he was doing some sort of project or assignment around Salesforce, and he just kept telling me about it. Like, man, this is a great company. Just in me doing research on it and understanding the perks and the things that it has to offer as far as opportunities go, it's a great company. And I also had a bunch of my contractors who just kept telling me about the potential that the platform had and things like that. So that piqued my interest, and that was how I got into Salesforce. So I decided to invest some time into studying, gain my certification at the back end of deployment. And yeah, I got back from overseas, and about 3 months later, I landed my first role. So yeah, like I said, been an admin for a little while now. But the interesting thing to me, what really like stuck out throughout my transition was the support that the ecosystem had. Like I was, me transitioning from supply chain, this was something that I hadn't seen before. Was just, speaking to professionals in the ecosystem and the time and effort that they were willing to spare to help me professionally develop and find my path in the ecosystem.
Interactions. I work at a restaurant server, so definitely something that I would have to engage with my customers consistently. And living in San Francisco, Salesforce was not a stranger for me, and it just was very natural. I applied for this upskilling program where they taught me how I would be able to use Salesforce in my career, and it just took off pretty much. The hardest part was changes, in the sense that I'm not sure if you're familiar with the saying that 3 years in tech world is like super obsolete and you're outdated. So definitely being able to keep up to date without losing your mind, or just, oh my god, I just learned this, and getting frustrated because you have to unlearn and relearn, or just tweak it a little bit, or a different type of pressure, if I may say.
I still live in the hardest part, and that is for a long time I was really more of a question answerer than a question asker, and that has completely flipped at this point. I ask way more questions than I answer at this point. And that was a tough role jump, but that was probably, I mean, other things that I considered changing careers. Obviously money goes through everyone's head. If you wake up in the morning and feel like you want to make things better for other people, then Salesforce is probably really going to be good for you, right? And I like seeing things get better, right? And I knew that starting at the bottom, it was going to be a little while before I was really impacting. It still is hard for me, I mean, I went through my day today. I mean, it was a good day, don't get me wrong. I'm generally a positive person anyway, but there are still moments where I'm like, I don't know the answer. I need to stop and ask somebody. And that's a weird feeling.
I was your typical American worker, where I put a lot of my self-worth and identity into my profession. And I was very driven by money too. So I worked a lot. And the best thing I did for my career is I took a career break and I stepped away from all of that. During this time, I found out that I love to learn, and I discovered my love for learning. I was able to explore my curiosity, see what I'm passionate about, and find my identity outside of being a nurse. And I started a personal finance blog. I got into financial independence, and here I am learning about Salesforce.
Yeah, and this is a hot topic always. I think the hardest thing for me has been finding a way to effectively combat imposter syndrome. First, I originally kind of didn't know how to work it. So I started to use it as fuel instead of like being kind of, trying to act like I knew everything. I used it as fuel and like accepted the fact that I don't know everything. And I think that created opportunities for me, learning opportunities. So like my senior admin now, he knows that I have like a thirst for hunger and knowledge. So he'll pop up on me every now and then and be like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, just knocking out some level 1 tasks. And he'll be like, you want to learn something cool? I'm like, heck yeah, So like, had I not expressed the fact that I don't know everything and like demonstrated that thirst for hunger and knowledge, I don't think those learning opportunities would be presented as often as they are.
Like in my last career, what I would consider the best thing I was doing was helping other people learn about financial independence. They would never listen, but I would always say it. But in my Salesforce career, I've been doing a similar thing, not necessarily in the financial independence space, but in trying to always provide at least a little bit of help. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't know a lot. I'm not one of these great savants, but I'll always, if someone has a question and I know the answer, or even if I think I might know the answer, I'll jump in and see if I can help.
One major, I would say the best part for Salesforce, transitioning into Salesforce, the best part has been seeing solutions regularly. I come from a background that I have to deal with different businesses, business owners, and I could see their pain points. And I've been an entrepreneur for years myself. And having a software or a platform where virtually everything that has to do with customer relations and being able to, have a 360-degree view of your customers and be able to give them the solution. And you've seen that the software just keeps giving you the solutions, keep giving you the options. It's such a very beautiful thing, especially when you start going to flows, the automations, and the fact that what could take you 5 days can take you literally like an hour to do. So that has been the joy. It's been the same thing that has been driving me in Salesforce up to now. The fact that Salesforce keeps offering solutions, keep offering values to businesses. Basically.
One key moment that I can actually point to in my career happened probably 10 years ago. I had a customer say to me, as I was leaving a job that I had before to my next one, don't keep your nose to yourself. And nothing I would have thought of on my own, but the fact of the matter is, like, you can take that to every different level. Like, if you're curious about something, like, stop and take a look. And that probably that's informed so much of just directions that I've gone, not just career-wise, but otherwise, right? If you're, I've made myself be more curious because of that, like strictly, like, oh, that looks neat, take a step the other way. Wait a minute. Why don't I just go look at it? Why don't I just Google it? Why don't I ask, that guy seems to be interested in this. Why does he like it so much?
Yeah, so far, I think the best thing that I've done is like projected myself. And like, what I mean when I say that is speaking up, from LinkedIn to meetings, webinars, things like that, speaking up, making comments, sharing stories, asking questions. Because it allows people, for one, to kind of learn a little bit more about you. And it allows, it creates an opportunity for them to have a personalized approach when they can hear the things that you're struggling with. So I think that's the best thing that I've done for myself so far.
What goes through my mind is I get excited because I learned something new, and it's not, or I'm diving into my rabbit hole, right? And it's just really fun and exciting to have the energy and the mental capacity to take in new information and to see how I can apply it in my life.
End of my day, I'm still at the, what did I accomplish? Did I get to where I needed to be? And then, like, am I ready to actually start tomorrow? So I mean, I know there are a lot of people, and probably a lot of people are going to answer that question. Oh, I close the laptop, I go up, go pick the kids up. I'm definitely not in that spot yet where I'm 100% comfortable, which is also not a bad place to be. Being uncomfortable is where growth happens, period.
think today was a long day if I'm being honest. But so I have two lists, right? I have a list of personal goals and professional goals. So at the end of every day, whether it was a good day or a bad day, I have like a quick moment to where I just think about, did I make any progress today in comparison to those goals that I have? And if I did, I kind of just a quick note to self on what I made progress on, or if I didn't, why didn't I? Also note to self, and then I check out for the day. But so that's my focus at the end of a long day, is to just make sure that I'm getting after the bigger picture when it's all said and done.
I love interacting with people, or when it's necessary for me to do it. But I'm also someone that I love having my own space as well. This quiet time, apart from the time with family, which is a usual thing as well. The quiet time and being able to just be in your space, just meditate. I do it for an hour at times. And really, it's a way of you re-energizing yourself. And just, at times, as beautiful as Salesforce is, there are challenges. You get to meet situations where it just turns your life. At times you just want to find a solution. You couldn't get a solution. The solution is out there, but it's just, you're just not getting it.
Honestly, and this is I'm working on it, disclaimer, all the things I didn't do. I'm like, no, it's like that meme of the dog with the coffee. It's fine, but everything is on fire. But then again, I also, it's something, like I said, I've been working on, because it's okay. There's maybe I could prioritize better next day, and maybe I prioritize properly, but these things require more time than I had initially anticipated, and that's okay too. So definitely working on incorporating some sort of different activity that changes the focus on like, there's room, just physically and mentally removing myself from all that stress. And
so I always have this feeling like I didn't do enough. No matter what it is, I just didn't do enough things. So one of the things that I do to try to like counteract that is I keep a running list of every single thing I did every single day. Just that way I can be like, at any point, even though my brain's telling me, hey, you need to do more, I can look back and be like, I did 10, 15, 20% more than I did yesterday. Like, this is great.
For a long, long time, I've tried to recognize how people talk, and then what their expectations might be that are different than mine. And there are a lot of people out there who don't necessarily recognize that disconnect, right? And even though I guess there's one of the words I hate most in the world is the word should, right? Because it's like simultaneously an acknowledgement of, this isn't the way things are, but I wish it was. Like, you can wish, guy, but it's not. You need to stand. You can only make a change if you're standing on solid ground. So should doesn't matter. But I really wish that there are people who recognize the differences in communication. And I'm not talking about languages. There are like, some people really see a clear step forward but can't communicate it out, which is hard for everybody in the room. Also, it can be kind of fun to break that down, so to really learn somebody and what their motivations are, and really kind of connect their dots for them. But there have been situations where you just start down the wrong road, and they're like, this isn't what I want.
When you have to deal with an individual that for instance, this person is a member of my team, you can't always push. You can always get people to move at your own pace. And especially maybe those that just love to talk more and do less. Such persons find it very difficult to acknowledge the fact that they are not doing anything. They keep on talking and make it look like they're doing a whole lot. And you just have to find a way to. It's not every time that it's easy to control the emotions, but these are people that you might have to spend an extra minute trying to wait on them, or trying to. So dealing with such people could be very, very tiring. And at times, what you might have to do within a day, you might have to push it to another day, just because you can't force this person to. You can only just. Yeah, so that has been one of the major pet peeves.
Yeah, I'm still like debating the concept of retirement because I'm always moving and I don't really know if I can sit still. So at the very least, I want to be financially free and I want to be with an organization that I can continue to give back, teach and mentor and things like that. So it may change tomorrow.
CTA all the way for us. Then way more than that. It's good to have the title. It's good to have the knowledge, to have the skills, but actually giving a world-class solution, or let me put it this way, a solution that solves a major problem in the world. One of the things that really got me even more in love with Salesforce was during the COVID-19, when it was really, really raging. And the fact that Salesforce could even come up with these clouds that tries to address, coordinating the supplies of the vaccines and even identifying who hasn't vaccinated, who was not, and even up to supply chains. Now CRM might not really be fashioned or be built for supply chains, but Salesforce has been built to integrate with many softwares as well. And you can actually see yourself solving a world problem with Salesforce. So beyond having that CTA title, you'd be able to do something good with it, something big.
Like a really broad question, and a question that I have been visiting and revisiting consistently throughout the past 2 years specifically. I do not see that myself going into an office every day. I would absolutely consider having a sort of hybrid setup where it's flexible enough for me to do my remote work, of course. And I love to travel, so definitely I'm super up for the van life and all of those things. So definitely those two have to be complementary. A personal goal myself is, and this one I came up with it about a couple days ago, but I'll say it to the world, I'll say it to the existence, is that I would like to help at least 100 people in the next 3 years transition, be it either into a tech role or a tech related role.
In that time frame, hopefully I'm still working in the nonprofit space, but I want to become like a jack of all trades, if you will. Like, for instance, right now I have 2 certifications already: the platform app builder, Salesforce admin. I'm in a class to get my Pardot specialist. I want to get my BA. I want to get, like, the list just keeps growing, and eventually become a developer. And not necessarily to get like a bunch of money or to do anything, just that way, whenever there's a problem in any of the nonprofit orgs that I work in, they don't have to go out and try to hire someone who's going to charge them an arm, a leg, and a tooth just to be able to get something done.
Do something today about it. I think a lot of us want to pivot into Salesforce, and we do our research of what we want to do, how much we can make, transferable skills, but then we have analysis paralysis and we do nothing. I think the thing we can do today to make the most impact to get into tech is to take action.
Yeah, I already gave a spoiler for that, because it's really, truly, don't keep your notes to yourself, right? If you're in a room and somebody says MuleSoft, like, Google it immediately. Seriously, it might be exactly the thing that you want. Or how does Apex connect with Java? Like, Google it right now. Spend 10 minutes. And if that 10 minutes turns into 3 hours, then you made the right decision, because it really could be the next stepping stone to the biggest move of your life.
Reach out to others. A salesperson, and you're selling yourself, so definitely no fear in that, and say, hey, I noticed you work as an admin. Do you have 5 minutes of your time or 10 minutes of your day so you can explain to me what would this be of an admin, or things like that. So asking questions, networking, follow the trends or what's happening within the role and companies. I think identifying companies that you would like to work for helps a lot shape your career journey or your career search.
Don't wait to be perfect. Like, that's one of those things I really felt in the beginning. I constantly was like, I need to make sure I get all of this 100% right. Well, major word alert here, but passing score was only like 64%. You don't have to be the greatest. As long as you pass, you can build your skills up. You can still market yourself. You can still become that great professional. And jobs aren't necessarily looking for the 100% most tech savvy person. They're looking for a good culture fit. Everything else can pretty much be taught.
Yeah, I'd say make sure you measure your progress and self-reflect as much as you can. Also, don't allow FOMO to impact you in a negative way. Like, and when I say FOMO, I'm sorry, fear of missing out. Don't allow the fear of missing out to discourage you in your journey, because you're gonna, as you get more exposure to the ecosystem and LinkedIn and things like that, you're gonna see a lot of like congratulations posts, a lot of I made it posts. So it's important to like understand that you have your own journey and everybody's is unique. So you're not behind. You know, this is your path, and you just need to stay the course. So I'd say don't let it discourage you. If anything, just let it motivate you.
Missing something that I should know, right? So should again, and I still that even though it is probably my least favorite word in the English language, it's that it, and this is probably exacerbated by having been truly, I would have called myself a subject matter expert in my last world, to sort of turn in that corner. Because there are also things, and this kind of also goes back to the communication and the expectations not necessarily always being laid out. I feel like I'm surrounded by very, very smart folks who have been in, and really, I think it's also important to keep in mind for myself, and I'm saying this also for my own benefit, but 3 or 4 years in Salesforce means you're pretty advanced. Right. So those, they have an understanding that is far beyond where I am right now. So they take some things for granted naturally. And I did the same thing too. And I just, that's really something that I maybe even slows me down over the course of the day to make me go over what I just did again to make sure I didn't miss something. But I sometimes just stop and think, did I miss something really easy that someone's going to catch?
Yes. So, and I will say mild. I think I suffer from like a mild case of public speaking anxiety. I say mild because it depends on the circumstances. But I think I definitely struggle from some public speaking anxiety. But because of it, I always force myself to speak up in some way, shape, or form just to combat that and make sure that I'm putting some discomfort on myself to continue growing.
I've heard of this phrase a lot within the Salesforce ecosystem, which is the imposter syndrome. It's really, really out there. Salesforce touts all the solutions, and the worst situation you want to be in is a company coming to you and asking for a solution, and you just find yourself like wondering, how on earth can I handle this? They expect you to be able to offer something, or even what they are asking is a problem that can be solved. But Salesforce is so vast. Even looking at flows alone, trying to automate certain things, you can end up racking your brains for a long time. And I just don't. It's a reality. There's no way one can avoid it. But one of the areas I try to avoid most times is people come in with a problem and I'm having difficulty giving a solution. But that's the way it is.
This is going to be one of those, got to get real deep, real serious. Failure. I am constantly afraid that someone's going to be like, oh, that thing you're working on is, for lack of better words, it's not working right because obviously you don't know what you're talking about, or that I'm some sort of fraud. When in reality, it's, look, I'm just bringing the little set of skills that I have. but it's always one of those things in the back of my head, especially being so new into the ecosystem. It's like, there's going to be problems I can't fix. There's one right now that I just, for the life of me, cannot figure out a solution for. But I have people in my corner who are helping me. So even if I can't figure it out, it's not necessarily the end of the day, but that's something that's a terrifying feeling, to not be able to fix a problem. I see a lot of people trying to join nonprofits to get their beginning experience. And don't get me wrong, in the right circumstance, that can be a great thing when you have someone there who's already been doing this a couple years, who already has the knowledge, who can double check your work. But the problem I see all too often is you have people who, the nonprofits need help, don't get me wrong, but you're joining with no experience and building stuff that might make it where they can't even use Salesforce in the future until they get someone else to fix it. So I would really love to see the nonprofit sector as a whole either not accept fresh people directly, or only accept them in groups where they can help each other, and or have some sort of mentor there ready to help them.
You know, I was on a webinar weeks ago, and a girl was saying her bad experience about Salesforce, and we never hear the bad experiences, you know, and it sounded really rough. I think we hear a lot about all the good and positive things about Salesforce, and there is so much good coming from it, which is what attracts us to Salesforce. But we don't hear enough of the negative experiences, and I think to be transparent about the industry, we need to hear a little bit more about that.
Definitely, I would love to see more diversity and representation. Back again to my HR experience and knowledge, these people, these stakeholders influence greatly what trickles down, what's culture, what's behaviors, what happens within companies and then within their community. So I would love to truly see diversity, and something that I strive and I will tirelessly work for.
We're supporting you for that. So awesome. There you go. How did it feel?
Terrifying.
You did so good though. I never would have thought that you were, you know what? Whatever you were feeling, you did good. I'm gonna say that.